And we start the day's other news in Texas. A gunman opened fire at an ICE facility in Dallas this morning, killing one detainee and wounding two others before taking his own life. It happened at a field office where ICE agents processed detainees. Police say the shooter fired from a nearby rooftop. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on social media what he says are the suspect's unspent shell casings, one of them engraved with the words anti-ICE. At a news conference, investigators said it's too early to determine a motive, but they're treating the shooting as an act of targeted violence.
This is just the most recent example of this type of attack. This will be a whole-of-government response. There will be no resource not utilized to bring all those individuals who are responsible to bring them to justice and to hold them accountable.
This is the third shooting in Texas just this year involving a Department of Homeland Security facility. Officials at today's press conference condemned what appears to be a surge in political violence nationwide. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky told the UN General Assembly today that the world is in, quote, the most destructive arms race in human history. Zelensky's comments came a day after he met with President Trump, who offered renewed support for Ukraine, going so far as to say that it could win back all of the territory it's lost to Russia. During his speech, Zelensky also appealed for more military aid to keep fighting Russia, saying that such help in the near term could prevent long-term disaster.
Stopping Russia now is cheaper than wondering who will be the first to create a simple drone carrying a nuclear warhead. So we must use everything we have together to force the aggressor to stop.
Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters today that Russian troops are making steady progress on the battlefield in Ukraine. As for President Trump's comments about Kyiv gaining ground, he said, quote, the thesis that Ukraine can reclaim something is wrong. Also at the UN, China announced a new climate goal today to cut its greenhouse gas emissions by 7 to 10% over the next decade. President Xi Jinping made the pledge via video to more than 100 world leaders attending a climate summit. China emits more global warming pollutants than any nation, but it also is the world's largest producer of renewable energy like wind and solar power. The commitment comes a day after President Trump dismissed climate change as a, quote, con job. The U.S. is not expected to set a climate goal of its own. Typhoon Ragasa slammed into southern China today, forcing residents across the region to hunker down and business owners to close up shop. In Hong Kong, waves taller than lampposts slammed into the shore in the early hours. Schools there were shut today and flights were canceled. In China's Guangdong province, nearly 2 million people were relocated to avoid the worst of the storm, one of Asia's worst in recent years. Before hitting southern China, Typhoon Ragasa ravaged Taiwan and the Philippines, killing at least 27 people. The family of one of the victims of this year's mid-air collision in Washington, D.C. is suing the government and the airlines involved. The lawsuit filed today is the first that aims to hold the FAA, the Army, American Airlines, and its regional partner PSA Airlines accountable for the crash. It claims that the carriers and officials utterly failed in their responsibilities to the traveling public. At a press conference today, other families signaled they would join the lawsuit in the coming months.
We are here to see this process through, however long it takes, to ensure that our family members have a lasting legacy that makes the world safer for everyone who flies.
67 people were killed when the airliner collided with an Army helicopter over the nation's capital in January. It was the deadliest U.S. plane crash in more than 2 decades. The FBI says it found classified documents during a search last month of former National Security Advisor John Bolton's office. According to court records, the materials relate to weapons of mass destruction, the U.S. mission to the UN, and strategic government communications. The raid was part of a Justice Department probe into whether Bolton held onto and then leaked sensitive material. Bolton served during Mr. Trump's first term, but has since become a frequent critic of the president. In a statement, Bolton's lawyer said that an objective and thorough review will show nothing inappropriate was stored or kept by Ambassador Bolton. On Wall Street today, stocks drifted lower for a second straight day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost about 170 points. The Nasdaq fell 75 points. The S&P 500 also ended in negative territory. And late-night host Jimmy Kimmel was back on air last night. His opening monologue has since gone online with more than 19 million views on social media so far and counting. Kimmel was suspended last week for comments he made following the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. In his return, Kimmel brought a mix of sincerity and defiance, as Dima Zain reports.
Thank you.
A rousing ovation after his return, Jimmy Kimmel was back on the airwaves with an 18-minute opening monologue discussing his suspension and the fallout.
I'm not sure who had a weirder 48 hours, me or the CEO of Tylenol.
Kimmel directly addressed his comments last week about the suspect arrested for the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
You understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
Kimmel made a strong defense for free speech throughout the monologue.
This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this.
Yeah! He even took jabs at the president.
You almost have to feel sorry for him. He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
Before Kimmel was back on the air, the president made clear he did not favor the return. On Truth Social last night, Trump called Kimmel another arm of the DNC, and he warned, "I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million." The president's sentiments were echoed by the chairman of the FCC, Brandon Carr. Posting on X, Carr said, "Democrats just keep digging themselves a deeper and deeper hole on Kimmel. We need to keep empowering local TV stations to serve their communities of license." For Charlie Kirk's friend and executive producer of his podcast, Kimmel's comments about the shooter were, quote, "not good enough." Andrew Colvett posted on X that Kimmel should apologize for lying about the shooter. But over the last week, some conservative influencers and lawmakers have stressed Kimmel's suspension was treading in dangerous territory. Senate Majority Leader John Thune today.
Coercive use of government shouldn't be something that is used. This isn't an area that I think the FCC ought to be wandering into.
Yesterday, right-leaning podcaster Joe Rogan warned those who might support Kimmel's suspension.
You're crazy for supporting this, because this will be used on you.
For his part, Kimmel thanked some of his usual critics who took issue with his suspension.
It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it.
While the show is back on most ABC stations, broadcasters Nexstar and Sinclair, who combined operate almost 60 local ABC stations, have said they will continue to preempt the show. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Dima Zain.
And still to come on the NewsHour, Senator Chuck Schumer on negotiations to end a government shutdown. Judy Woodruff travels to Northern Ireland to explore what the U.S. can learn from how the peace has been kept since the Troubles. And the leader of the UNCF discusses a donation that could have a big impact on historically black colleges and universities.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.